Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
7th Street Productions, 31 Days of Halloween.
Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome back to 7th Street, and welcome back to 7th Street Productions' 31 Days of Halloween, where we are counting down my personal favorite 31 horror films of all time. We're inside of the top 3, which is really exciting. It's also just a couple of days until Halloween, so there's more than one reason to be excited. And the movie today is just a fucking masterpiece, but I get a lot of flack from a lot of people for this being so high on my list, not just of horror films, of movies in general. Even my own dad gives me shit for how highly regarded this movie is to me. And that is, of course, the 80s masterpiece, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I cannot get enough of this movie. I mean, it's like someone took all the, perfect ingredients for Calvin McCarthy. They took, weird comedy and 50s monster movies and 80s style and weird practical effects and mixed it together. And, I almost forgot, punk rock music, mixed it together and just made just one of the most outlandish movies ever. I can't say enough about this movie. With a title like Killer Klowns from Outer Space, I'm sure most of you can figure out what the movie is about. It's about two teenage lovers who, while one night at the top of the world making out, witness a UFO fly overhead and land somewhere in the field. And, of course, like any good horny teenager, they decide to go investigate, and they come across a circus tent in the middle of the woods and decide to investigate further, only to find that the circus tent is not a circus tent. It's a spaceship, and the beings inside resemble that of circus clowns, and they're going around the galaxy looking for beings to wrap up in pink cotton candy so that they can cocoon them, liquefy their insides, and drink them with crazy straws. The effects were done by the Kyoto brothers. The Kyoto brothers also directed this film, and you may know their work from movies like Critters, Team America, World Police. They did all the marionettes for them. They did Ernest Scared Stupid. They're still to this day, really highly regarded for their practical effects. Man, from the effects to the cornball acting to the musical score done by the Dickies, everything about this movie is flawless. And I'm convinced that the people who say that they don't care for this movie just really don't get it. They just must not be fans of 50s sci-fi like The Blob or It Came from Outer Space. It's kind of like the original Scary Movie or Hot Shots, right? The first kind of spoof horror movie that way. Probably not the first, but one that I feel like kind of set the formula a little bit. There are moments in that movie that are like direct spoofs on other movies, like Royal Dano's character going out and finding the circus tent before our leads get there is kind of like the homeless guy in The Blob who with his dog is poking the meteor and then it dissolves his hand. Gosh, I can't say enough about this movie. Definitely go and find yourself the new Arrow Blu-ray. I don't know if you guys saw, I have a DVD update a while back where I finally bit the bullet and got the Arrow release of it. I actually got the FYE exclusive slipcase on it. I'm so glad that I did that. It's full of great features, including interviews with the Dickies talking about, how they came up with the song. I guess that, the studio and the Kyoto brothers just came to them and said, hey, we want an 80s punk rock feel to this. we're doing a movie called Killer Klowns from Outer Space. We don't really have any footage to show you. And they're just like, well, we'll come up with it. And it's just great. From the first time that I saw this at about 10 years old on AMC at midnight, this movie blew me away. It's always been in my top 3 favorite films of all time. Any day of the week, I could watch this film. It's one of those movies that when someone says, oh, I've never seen Killer Klowns from Outer Space, I put it on right then and there just because I am convinced that if you watch it, you'll love it. So this is highly, highly recommended for anyone, not just horror fans. Check out Killer Klowns from Outer Space.